everyone, it's me again, your dear Joey, always here to listen to your story. And although I may not have advice to say, I will always have a song to brighten your day. I'm very excited about our letter writer today. She is someone that I have known since the 90s. She was one of the persons that I invited to be a part of my very special Brief Encounters album. See, what's special about this is in this album I wanted to help discover new songwriters, young songwriters, because there were so many in the 80s and the 90s. Songwriting was such a beautiful thing, and it was so wonderful how everybody was so into songwriting, and I wanted to capture that into an album which I called Brief Encounters, which was a brief encounter that lasted a long time because it did give careers to a lot of them, and it became such a blessing. It became such a blessing, and I'm so excited and so thankful to have been able to do that for many of them. And I'm talking about big composers now and big people who are now in the industry, like Trina Pelumidi, Rina Canisa, so many people. I can't remember everyone, but Christine Bendabel, but also this person that has written me. And it's so wonderful that dear Joey has sort of helped us to cross paths once again, and that's the beauty of dear Joey. It's really a beautiful thing about dear Joey. It's not only meeting new people, but rediscovering and finding old friends. So our letter for today is from, yes, it's you, Diane Franco. Dear Joey, my story for you centers on one of my great loves, music. And you, dear Joey, played a pivotal role in helping my love for music become one of my better anchors, especially in difficult and painful times. As you know, you recorded my first published song, Hihihintayin Pa Rin Kita. The story to this song, Joey, goes all the way back to the mid-80s, when you were breaking new ground in the music industry with your successful debut album. You used to perform often in the auditorium of Maryknoll College. I remember that. I used to wait for you there, backstage. And whenever you arrived to perform, I made sure I got your autograph each and every time. Oh, I was one of your many young fans then, and I had always wondered if my showing up for your autograph regularly somehow made you familiar with me. The young fan who always showed up in that backstage. Anyway, in 1990, I was to record an English song I wrote. I was in Nonong Pedero's recording studio in Makati. It was a stormy night. The guys at the studio, sound engineers, and who also knew how to play musical instrument, we were all stuck there. I played the keyboard and sang my song. Then Hector Pedero took his electric guitar and instructed Boogie, the sound engineer, and another guy to switch on the keyboard. Then they began to play my song. It was amazing. In just a few minutes, I was ready to do the vocals with them. My dad picked me up much later that night after the water levels subsided along Buendia Avenue. I know that flood. I was so happy. I went home with a master copy. I later made copies on D3 tapes, the small reels. A few days after, I knocked on the doors of radio stations to check if they would play the song from a newbie like me. I was amazed when 4 stations did for 4 months. One day, while I was at the office and enjoyed the song, get some airtime on those stations, I received a call from you. One of the radio station managers gave you my contact number. I was so thrilled to hear your voice at the end of the line. You said you were looking for young, new composers for an album you were going to do. You asked me to translate my English song Love in Time in Tagalog. Hence, Hihihintayin Pa Rin Kita. Oh, that's the story. I went to another studio to record the Tagalog song. I submitted it to your producer and arranger, the late Rudy Lozano. I miss him. Who lived in a nearby village. Next thing was, I learned that Hihihintayin Pa Rin Kita was selected as a carrier single by the record label. I was shocked beyond belief. I attended your recording of the song at the studio. I watched you sing inside the recording booth. I was shocked again when you said, I join you inside the booth to record the backup vocals. Things happened so fast. How I wish camera phones were in fashion back then. Ako din. So much of my 40 years was not captured. Do you know that? Kakinis. I have no I have no snapshots of those precious moments. I would have loved some. Sigh. And so my knees shook while standing beside you as you coached me. I couldn't believe it. It was so generous of you. Imagine from the mid-80s to 1992. Grabe. I adored you and your incredible hits, and there I was, singing my song with you. How cool was that? I also sang with you on stage when you promoted Hihihintayin Pa Rin Kita at SM City North Ed. So you launched the album on TV and in the malls. Ang saya dati, no? We used to do those mall tours and we could guest in every TV show. Ngayon, di na pwede. You mentioned all your young composers. I always mention my composers, including the hitmaker Trina Pelamide and other composers. Hihihintayin Pa Rin Kita eventually turned into a promise that only God would grant me, that I would wait for another chance to see and communicate with you. Again, I waited. In 2004, we exchanged emails. In 2007, you allowed me to write an article about you. This was published on the website of GMA Network. Sadly, my twin suddenly passed away. Remember that? The day after that article was uploaded on the website. In August of that year, I went to see you rehearse for a 2-night concert with Mr. Louis Ocampo at the Music Museum. I was still in mourning since my twin's sudden demise a few months ago. When I arrived at the venue during rehearsal, I held my breath when I saw you again in person after 1992. I waved and you signaled. I think I remember the moment. I went up the risers at the stage, walked toward you, and you opened your arms and gave me a big sisterly hug. And that was the most memorable gesture of comfort I had received in months. After that time, I thanked God in prayer and wondered when would be the next time for another encounter with you. Since my last real meetup with you in 2007, today marks the 14th year. Since for another chance to see you and hear from you again, even if only virtually. Yes, Joey, hihintayin pa rin kita for every chance that God grants me this wonderful miracle. Should you read this, it will be another miracle. Now, in my life, while I'm reeling from a painful difficulty with someone who's not easy to understand. This letter marks another milestone of waiting. Hihintayin. You bring light and love with your enduring and comforting presence. With your unforgettable enduring hits, it's magic. Because you're the one and only Joey Albert. Iyak ako. So beautiful inside and out. Thank you again with all my heart forever, Joey. Hihintayin pa rin kita. Yes, you better. I love you. Take care always. Thanks from a million miles away. Sincerely, from an old fan, Diane. Old fan, but not so old friend. Diane, thank you so much. I have no words. I think that the way I feel now and being near tears is enough to let you know how grateful I am and how wonderful your story is. And if there's anything we learn from this story, it's that God does always keep his promises. And music always lifts our hearts and brings us together. And I'm just so proud to sing our song again here on Dear Joey.
Mula nang makilala ka, puso ko'y nangangamba. Mukhang di magawa, nalimutin pa kita. Hindi talagang sinasadya pa nila na ikaw ay papaya. Damdamin ko'y tapat, di pa ba ito sapat? Kailan kaya matutupad ang pangarap kong ito? Sana balang araw tayo na magkapaalam. Kahit na hihintayin pa rin kita, pag-ibig ko'y laging handa. Sana na may pansinin mo na. Kahit na magkunwaring tayo na, gusto lang magsama ka. Kahit na hihintayin pa kita. Hihintay ako, maghihintay ako. Kahit na hihintayin pa rin kita, pag-ibig ko'y laging handa. Sana na may pansinin mo na. Kahit na magkunwaring tayo na, gusto lang makasama ka. Kahit na hihintayin kita. Maghihintay ako.
Oh, Diane. Parang deja vu. Talaga, while I was singing that song, it brought me back to the 90s. The wonderful 90s. There was something really solid and stable and beautiful about the 90s. Everybody was so stable and so sure of themselves. It was a stable time in all our lives. And it was a beautiful time. And I really, really, really I'm so proud of that album. And even if it didn't become like a hit album, it produced hit makers. And that's what it was all about. Not everything is about us, but about the people whose bridges we can help build. Thank you for appreciating that. And for all of you out there, I hope that Diane's story continues to bring you hope. That in each of our lives, God creates paths. And if we just continue to pray and believe in Him and trust Him, the paths that He creates for us will continue to lead us and bring us to beautiful things many, many years from now. Maraming salamat ulit, Diane, and maraming salamat ulit sa lahat sa inyo dyan na lagi nakikinig. Di ko na alam kung ilan kayo. Siyempre, dinadasal ko na madaming makinig. Pero kahit na isa-isa, mapalitan ko ang malulungkot na puso nyo sa kaligayahan. One listener at a time. Masaya na ako. And like what I said, God has prepared a path in front of us and even in front of dear Joey. And I know I will reach all of you someday. So, until that day comes, kulang man sa atin itong sandali. Alam ko na tayo'y magkikita muli dito po sa Dear Joey. So, magkita na lang tayo sa sulat at saka dito sa ating mga weekly videos. Write me at writedearjoey@gmail.com. That's WRITE dearjoey@gmail.com. And until then, until I read your letters and until we see each other again here on Dear Joey YouTube channel, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, stay home, And most important of all, stay tuned to Dear Joey. Bye!